do have tremendous trail infrastructure in Scotland for mountain biking, and we want to have the accommodation providers and other service providers provide a world-class experience, because it's that whole package that we really need to come together for mountain biking, for people to spread the word, and mountain biking to have that reputation which Scotland does have, but needs to maintain as other destinations improve across the world as well.
Yeah. So you've developed these criteria, and this is for accommodation providers, camping, visitor attractions, cafes and restaurants. I think we can broadly split those. I think we do have a slide that's got these on so we can work our way through them. So these are sort of bike-friendly essentials, and there's 9 of them. The first one, which we hear over and over again, is secure locked bike storage. Now, we just said that bike is a precious, precious thing to these people. What does that mean then? What, in practical terms, what are businesses going to have to do to provide that?
Well, basically, some of these bikes that the guys are riding now, either mountain bikes or road bikes, they're worth thousands of pounds, 3, 4, maybe even £5,000. And you know, the locking them up against the railings around the back is just not going to cut it. They need to be confident that their bikes are going to be somewhere safe and secure and protected from the elements. And so we're talking about you know, secure sheds, lockable bike sheds, even garages if we're talking about accommodation providers. And the other sort of component that is beginning to become quite important here is the sort of emerging e-bike market. So some of the more modern e-bikes are worth a lot of money. A lot of them have integrated batteries now, so you can't just pop the battery off and plug it in your bedroom. So, you know, maybe a garage, a lockable storage unit or a garage with a power supply where these bikes can be secure.
Right, I didn't realise that was actually growing to that extent, that we need to be thinking about charging as well for them. Okay, that's interesting. So secure locked bike storage, so that we are looking for something to protect from the elements as well. It's going to have to be undercover. The next one is acceptance of dirty riders and a thought through visitor journey after a ride. Tell us what that means, Graeme.
Yeah, I think it's just putting yourself in the shoes of a mountain biker or cyclist who's arriving at your place. And
dirty shoes.
Dirty shoes. Dirty shoes. And it's, so it's kind of thinking that whole journey through for them, because actually when we arrive at an accommodation or a service, we don't actually want to mess it up. We don't want to be the bad ones, but we just need to know what to do and where to do it. So that might be a kind of case of, if you've got nice carpets in your foyer, you don't want to get them dirty, it's, well, where do they go and how have you communicated that before they arrive at your property? And when they're at your property, is there ways that you can make it really easy for them to have to be getting from their wet, dirty clothes towards their room so that they can shower, get changed, and then have a range of dirty kit which they then maybe need cleaned as well. Each one of these probably has a little bit of opportunities around it for businesses as well. So you may be able to offer a washing and drying services, and most people will be willing to pay for that kind of service. And it's also it's just being able to think, right, so if someone's arriving at a property, how am I going to manage them, and how can they have a tremendous visitor, how can they have a great visitor journey, where's their journey through to their hot shower?
If you're cycling on a long distance cycle route and it starts hosing down with rain, then quite often it's half an hour before you're looking for a cafe. People just don't want to walk into a cafe and leave a puddle of mud and water on the floor, sit on a nice fabric seat, leave it wet for the next person. You know, it's you know, we don't want to do that. We'd sooner sit on a plastic seat somewhere and in somewhere where the mess can be cleared up. So it's just a question of thinking through. Put yourself in the shoes of the cyclist. Walk through that sort of experience right through to getting that cup of coffee, and making sure that you've got those things ticked off. If you go onto any of the sort of well-known cycling online stores, you can buy a basic bike maintenance kit which has got everything you need for 30-40 quid maybe.
Yeah, and that kind of investment, again, will be repaid, won't it, really quite quickly.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get through. We've still got quite a few things to get through here. We've got provision of food and drink at unusual hours. Now, how unusual are we talking?
Well, not outrageously unusual. I mean, again, most road cyclists who are on a multi-day journey, they want to be up and out the door by 8 o'clock latest. And so, offering breakfast at 8:30 really is a non-starter. They're looking to be sort of up, fed and watered, and maybe 20 miles up the road by 8:30. And so, okay, you haven't necessarily got to lay on a full breakfast service for them, but a lot of what people eat for breakfast is it's basically cereals, toast, whatever. And so it might be just a case of having the flexibility to leave some stuff out for people who want to depart early. And that that can be that simple thing can be the difference between someone choosing to stay with you and not.
Okay, so the next one I think is probably quite important. Basic knowledge of the routes, trails and road riding in the area. Now that's something you're going to have to go out there and find out, isn't it? So that you can then be a source of information for these guests when they come to you.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need to be an expert in it. It is basic knowledge of where to do, but it's just worth going around and checking out where people might go, where they might cycle, particularly for the ones that are arriving at your accommodation or at your facility, where the guests might be not that knowledgeable. So they've not planned the trip in advance, they're just looking for things to do. And there's a lot of great places, great routes in Scotland that people can do, that people can access, that I don't need specialist knowledge in advance.
Basically understanding what's on your doorstep. So you might actually be within a couple of miles of a national cycle network or the Land's End to John O'Groats route. And if you understand what's on your doorstep, then you can actually tailor your product offer to the kind of cyclists that you're likely to see coming past your front door. But then the other side of that is, well, if you have got a well-used and well-known route going past your front door, there might be a forum that's associated with banter around that route. So make sure you're posting images or posting information about your offer into the appropriate channel where these guys who are using that route will see it and kind of make that connection.
So it's a two-way street there.
Street,
yeah.